courtesy.
Yes.
Would recite the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome you all to the March 29th meeting, of Lawrence County Commissioners. Appreciate y'all being here. Item number 2 on the agenda is approval of minutes for March 15th, 2022.
Move for approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3 is the approval of claims.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carries. Item number 4, approval of payroll.
Move for approval.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5, first on the list is Brad Boo, San Laura for Festival of Heroes. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you again for supporting our veterans, and I'm sure Sam wants to thank you for supporting police officers and first responders. We're here this morning to ask permission to use the courthouse grounds on September the 10th, that's a Saturday this year, for the second Festival of Heroes.
Yeah, we're coming early because last year it was just done kind of last minute. The turnout could have been a lot better, and we're wanting to do a little bit more of an organization, get more people involved, and hopefully have a better turnout to have our community show support for everybody involved and keeping everything safe and secure.
Okay.
What time of day, I know I always bring it up, but the farmer's market's here on Saturdays, so.
Well, we incorporated that last year,
Okay.
and because we get approached some of the people that are already there for that. 11 to 3 is kind of what we did last year.
Something like that, yes. Not a long time. Yeah, farmer's market wants to stay behind and sell to people that are coming to the festival. We're happy to see that too. It's money in the community.
I agree, it's a great program, and I'm glad you guys are taking the lead on this. Just as long as we make sure we're clearing it with the farmer's market, they do have the priority most of the time, but normally they've been very accommodating to move or delay or do whatever necessary, so
And I think
we'll go with that.
I think the last time I had a question about open access to the courthouse, I didn't think we needed it then, I doubt that we need it now, we can always just get a porta potty out there. if we need to.
Okay.
So that way we don't have any additional security interests that we gotta address.
If we do need the courthouse open, I have money in my budget for patriotic observances. I don't think anybody can argue honoring our police, fire, veterans, and ambulance crews would be anything but patriotic,
Okay.
just in case we do need it.
Yeah. We'll see how that works out for your needs there, so. We need a motion to approve the use.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, further discussion. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks again for
Thank you,
your
Brad.
support of our veterans. I appreciate it sincerely.
Next item's already up here. Hi, Sam.
Hello. So, just a brief synopsis of what we've dealt with and how you guys have already helped. I don't think it's any secret that the last several years, there's been a little bit of moisture issues down in the basement. We were able to remedy most of that in the prosecutor's office just by tweaking on gutters, and the commission was nice enough to give us a very huge commercial size HEPA filter that's done a pretty good job about keeping down the mold content and with some chemical cleaning. We were able to use money from the incentive program on child support for part of the office, and then for our forfeiture money to do a $14,000 install of basically outdoor carpet squares. That worked for a little bit, but there's a couple issues that come up. I'm not an engineer, an architect, or anything like that, but it would appear that the the building was built kind of like an old house that I owned from the 1920s, where it just has a natural drain in the basement. And we happen to be on that corner of it, and there's some natural grooves that are actually built in where it's not sealed concrete or the base floor on that. So we are still getting some moisture. It would appear that the glue that was used for the carpet squares that were put down initially were latex based and not petroleum based or whatever that is. So all that stuff has since dissolved and is, I believe two out of three of you guys have been in there and seen how nasty that is. And the odor of really nasty rock fish that comes from it. It's since been
Not
progressed. You're right. So you caught, I was pointing at you when I said that. So, we've since had some, just weird fuzzy mold growing in different corners. It stays pretty wet, and even with running the filters and doing the chemical, preventive cleaning that I've kept up on the last 3 years, this year's been really bad. For some reason, we've had a lot of sore throats all of a sudden, like people said they used to have. I've got one deputy prosecutor who's having a lot of problems with her eyes, and I've reached out to a couple of the floor installers. I've got a quote back from one of them, and the consensus is that we would put down a membrane, and instead of like a really expensive rooftop membrane, we could use like the vapor barrier that we use on a foundation. Since there's that natural drainage where the dips will go before the moisture will have a place to go. And because we're gonna need to use a membrane to keep the water from coming up, we're gonna have to go with a plank style floor instead of a carpet-based floor where you have to glue it down. I've experimented with that by a couple hallways, a kitchen and a bathroom. That seems to be working well within there already, without the vapor barrier. And it is a little bit more expensive. The total estimate was, with the first one, was $31,388 to complete the rest of the office. The estimate, I've not, bartered with him or beat him down or anything like that. I did talk to the guy that was doing the labor, since the labor was pretty expensive, and a lot of that's just because all that old glue is gonna have to come up and be hauled off and disposed of, because it looks pretty toxic at this point. I think,
bad.
yeah, it's pretty rough, and we're gonna have to figure out a way to do that where it's not making a buzzard gag, while court and stuff's going, because it's pretty right. But there are some safety concerns, and I wanted to bring that forth to you guys' attention and see, just basically address that we maybe need to take steps to get that done. I can't figure out how to do it on my own like I usually can, and ask for help with that. And I will attempt to get 2 or 3 more estimates with that, try to get that price down. And if we can mitigate that at all by only doing certain areas of the office instead of the entire office, I'll look into that as well. But it is a concern, and I just wanted to address it. All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, thanks.
So you're gonna get us the estimates when you get.
Yes, the first one is from Rob, that's attached to the living room center, and said that's not been bartered with or reduced. That's just if they come in and finish what we haven't already done. And when you look at that, once again, the labor on that alone is $13,500 just because of the cleanup with it.
It's pretty nasty, we need to take care of it, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Next on the agenda is Brad Hawkins right away. Brad is here, but Corey Allen, our county surveyor, probably has a better description of what Brad's asking for and what we appreciate. So,
Good morning.
good morning.
Mr. Hawkins is, he approached us previously for another area to vacate part of the right-of-way of Old 37. We have much more than we need now that's a county road. It's not necessary for our drainage or anything like that. We have plenty left for safety. Mr. Hawkins there was a alley involved, alleyway that had to be removed as part of the construction. That's been put back and repaved. I verified that yesterday. It looks good. The grade on it looks good, where you can get a trailer over it, things like that now. So that was we were kind of waiting to get all that finalized. He is asking us to vacate an additional 0.11 acres of the Old 37 right-of-way, just to help. That'll help give setbacks for buildings he plans to build. that's feeding into an existing culvert we have. That drainage it looks good, it's been put into, good spec. It's not gonna affect our drainage in any time, it's all plastic, so it's gonna last for a long time. That maintenance will be on Mr. Hawkins, on his part. We would only have the culvert. So he's had a survey prepared and a legal description for that area we're asking to vacate.
So before we do that, there still has to be a petition filed, advertised, set on a future agenda, and have a public hearing on that. So I'll have to prepare the petition, and we'll have to set that for a future hearing.
Understand, we thank you, Brad, and we, Dave Smith will make the preparations for that public hearing. Thank you, Corey. Number 6, items for consideration. Anyone have anything to go over there? Okay, item 7, departments, highway department, that's new temporarily, and, I think everything's moving along really well. We're anticipating beginning some paving projects as soon as possible, weather permitting, and materials availability. We do have a number of projects in line for this summer, and thankfully we've got through most of the bad weather this winter without too much issues, but when it was necessary, the crews have done a great job, in my opinion. So, any other comments on highway from you guys? Anyone?
No.
Okay. Next item is emergency management, Lori Lockhart.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I emailed you a request for GIS data, our boundaries for our dispatch, boundaries for like the city of Bedford and the county, another telephone company, telecommunications that does voice over IP, is moving into the area. They've reached out to multiple other counties in the state, and so I just need permission from you to allow WTH, our public safety vendor that has that layer, to share that with them. And they said an email would suffice if I CC all of you guys on that and you say, I agree, is that, or we can have Jessica do a letter, whatever you want to do.
I have no preference. I'm not.
It doesn't matter
Dave,
to me.
you got a preference how we do that?
I'll move for approval.
Okay, have a motion, second. Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Why don't you and Jessica decide how you
We
want to
will.
do that? That's
All right.
fine.
Not a
with us.
problem.
So,
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Val. Next item is Sheriff Mike Brandon.
Good morning.
Morning.
Jail population this morning is 155, that's 86% of capacity. Just for a look back, taking out 20 and 21, which is COVID. So going all the way back to 2019, this same time of year, we were at 155. That summer, we went over 200 in the jail, so just a little perspective on that. 127 males, 28 females, 3 level 6 felons convicted, 5 Department of Corrections holds, 1 parole hold, and that's it for jail counts. I don't remember if I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, but we are working on our policy manual. We did the law enforcement policy manual 3 years ago, and we got a grant to help pay for that. It had not been done in 15 years. We're now working on the jail policy manual. That's next. It hasn't been really complete revamped since 2013, and it needs to be redone. So that's a project we're getting ready to start. It's a legally defensible policy manual. Lexipol has attorneys on staff that monitor changes in the law, changes in case changes, and they make recommendations to make changes to your policy all throughout the year. So it also includes daily training bulletins, so every day the officers will get some kind of a little scenario in an email, and they answer questions about that on how they would handle that. So it's a really good system. We're really happy with the law enforcement side and expect to be just as happy with the jail policy side. I am working on a VOCA grant that's victims of crime. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, it's to bring a victim assistance on to the sheriff's office. And the person would, it would be a non-law enforcement role. They would respond to scenes where there are victims of violent crime, whether that's children who are abused or assaulted, sexual assaults, domestic battery, all of those things, and help them with their immediate needs, whether it's shelter, advising them on how to get protective orders, those sort of things. And after that initial touch with the victim assistant, there would be a warm handoff to the prosecutor's office, who also has a victim assistant working there, to navigate them through the court part of the procedure. So that's what we're looking at in the grant. It's for one position, and then some office supplies and other like materials to hand out, those sort of things. Total, it's going to be right in the neighborhood of $200,000. It's due Thursday, and I'm still working on it, so I don't have exact, but that's pretty close to where it's going to be. That's one person with all the benefits, and then all of the supplies and training and everything that would come with it. They are opening this grant up for the next 2 years, 100% funded with no match. After 2 years, it's possible that it goes back to an 80-20 match. If that happens, if we supply a vehicle, that'll match our 20%. So we'll be okay with that. Any questions about that?
No, sir.
Okay. Oh, and then, as you know, we emailed about some complaints about speeding on some of the county roads, and some of those roads have not had the traffic study done on them to post them correctly within statute. So myself and the interim highway superintendent will be going out tomorrow morning and doing a few traffic studies on a few roads, and then in 2 weeks we should have a recommendation back for you on a few roads to get some new speed limit signs posted.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff. Appreciate it. Okay, next item on the agenda, under old business. We are, as most everyone knows, we have received ARP funds for the first round of that allocation, and have not determined how those funds are going to be used as of yet. We have enlisted the aid of Baker Tilly, firm out of Indianapolis, that's going to help us. I was hoping today would be an update, but it's not going to be. But my intention is to have that available within by the time we have our next commissioners meeting, and try to hold a public session after our meeting, and have a Baker Tilly representative here to answer questions and review what our possible spending plan is for those funds. We do, and as you'll see on the agenda, the next item is Commissioner Gabhart going to talk about the update on our broadband expansion. We didn't make Mr. Smith mad. He has another engagement he has to be involved in. So, but there are a number of things that are possible for the use of those funds, and there's also some very stringent restrictions on some things. So we're looking at those issues. Right now,
there's a lot of things going on in the art fund that people wanna feel like they're getting left out or thrown to the side when, the short of it, they don't know what they don't know, because we don't know yet what we can and cannot do with that. One of the things we can do is the broadband, as calling that, infrastructure. So, maybe a month ago, we called in Morley Group to do, some consulting on that. At this point, I talked to those guys last week, and they are now collecting data, because, what we found was everybody thought their area needed it more than the next person's. Well, now we're getting these overlay maps that include future plans from, the REMCs, AT&T, Smithville, so they'll be able to see where it's really already headed to build, where we really need it, and then put out an RFP to see if we can get anything interested in that. We're having a small who's first kind of issue going on, where art money needs a plan of attack, written out. We don't know at this point, can we do the deal for Morley with that, but Morley wants to know what our plan of attack is. So we're just doing this circle that we're trying to break, and hopefully this meeting coming up with, Baker Tilly will be the beginning of that, and break that circle where we can start answering some questions. So, that's all I have at this point.
And I know we've been talking about these funds for over a year at least, maybe longer than that. But, we're not behind. From all indications I get from other communities, other counties, we're just about where everybody else is, trying to determine what is a safe way, a sure way to utilize these funds without ending up having to repay something that we spent in error. So we're trying to be conscientious and safe about how we go about this, so.
And that's coming from the consultants, because
Yeah.
like the CARES Act, this thing changes at the drop of a hat. And why do we wanna make a plan just to change it when we can just wait till the final rulings are out, go with the one plan and be on course then, so.
Well, I'm not correcting what you just said, but even the final rule, which came out 4 or 5 weeks ago, is already being interpreted in a different manner than what it was the day it was posted. So just be aware, we're not holding up intentionally expending these funds. We're just making sure we do it in the right way. And I spoke this morning with Scott Smith, the council president, and this is gonna be a joint effort, and we're gonna do that as best we can for the entire county. It's not gonna just be one small group deciding how this is all gonna be done, so. All right, that's enough of that. Any other